This is an SM Media production. Hi everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Horse Racing Show right here on SM Media. I'm Scott McPike, delighted to be your host as always, joined as always by, from the Scottish Daily Mail, Calum McClurkin. Calum, how tired are you after one of the busiest weeks of horse racing I think we've ever seen?
Oh, it's always a busy week when the jump season ends and the flat season begins. It's also a bit of a nightmare for punters to adjust between the two and try and get some selections right. So yeah, it has been busy. It's all focused on the flat now.
Yeah, definitely. What we're going to do is we're going to review the week's racing. We're going to review the flat, the two Guineas races. We're going to do our end of jump season awards, and we're going to kind of mix Punchestown in with that as well. And we're going to preview the upcoming Chester May meeting. So we'll start off with the Guineas. The first race was the 2000 Guineas on Saturday. Poetic Flair, given a wee surprise there, beating Masters of the Sea by a short head. It was a great race, great end to a race. I just feel a bit that a couple of kind of horses at the top of the market, like some Mustabeek, Wembley, Thunder Moon, Battleground, they were all disappointing. I didn't think it was a best renewal of a Guineas, but it was a really, really good finish.
Yeah, it was strange in the way that most of the market principals didn't really perform. Thunder Moon, as a long-term backer of his, was a bit concerned in the paddock. He didn't seem to have grown between 2 and 3 at all. So I was a bit worried that he'd get quite warm beforehand. I think Battleground just didn't like the track. He was drawn at 15, which was clearly the wrong place to be all week. And he just didn't handle the undulations whatsoever. That's what Frankie Dettori reported. So I wouldn't entirely write him off for maybe a St James's Palace or something like that, and a Royal Ascot conventional kind of track for him. Wembley was a real puzzling one because he had track experience. He really should have been there, but he took a long time to come to hand at the age of 2. He might be the same at 3. And Poetic Flair was a little surprised, but again, he was drawn in the right place, and there was certainly no fluke about how he did it, holding off Master of the Seas quite well. Lucky Vega was good in third for Jessica Harrington. Just didn't quite get a clear run at the end. He certainly proved that he could stay a mile. So I think they're three that definitely take forward. Thought One Ruler shaped okay. I think 33-1 for a Derby is quite big. I think he's got this kind of like Massa profile of he maybe needed the run a little bit, and he was quite well fancied before William Buick opted to pick Master of the Seas, probably better. But he looked quite good in the paddock, and he was up there until he was just outpaced towards the end. So I know his pedigree doesn't scream 1 mile 4, but he shapes as if it is. And in the 33-1 for a good Olphin horse for that nature that was favourite for the Kidneys in a job changing week. Might make some appeal long term, but I just keep an eye at where he goes next, whatever the plan is for him.
Yeah, definitely. We'll move on to Sunday where we saw the 1000 Guineas. Mother Earth, Aidan O'Brien gets his mandatory winner in one of these two races, and he got it with Mother Earth with Frankie Dettori. So really, really, I wouldn't say it was a great race. I wouldn't say there was a standout horse, but it was it was a lot of horses towards the end, but Santa Barbara, I think, will progress. I think she was the one I took away. I think she's going to progress well, and I think 3-1 for the Oaks is really good for her.
Yeah, it's a massive spread finish, wasn't it? It was like 6 of them across the track. Alcohol free was posted the wrong side, but probably didn't quite get home.
Some gamble on her as well.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, they're kind of both of them joint favourites with Santa Barbara. It's a bit of a puzzling race because Mother Earth and Fevro had really good form at the age of 2 to their name. I think experience kind of won the day there. Santa Barbara got lost in the dip. She travelled really well into it. She was quite green. She'd obviously come on for it. I would have liked to see her finish the line, finish and hit the line a little bit harder and a little bit better than she did. It petered out slightly. She's really unbalanced at Newmarket. I wonder how really unbalanced she might be at Epsom as well. Would be a kind of a slight concern. I thought Fevrover ran really well, really keen at the start. She did really well to stay up there, to place in third, which was from me at 20s. I did have a little saver on Mother Earth as well, because she just had this Hermosa profile of heavily raced at 2. He has a pedigree to get further, but track experience at Newmarket, and it really helped. And I thought she was given an absolutely excellent ride by the Tory, because he was on a horse that he knew that was in the right part of the track, and she would handle the dip. So he kind of accelerated her into the dip, and then by the time she exited the dip, she was a length clear, and she just maintained the gallop to the line. It's a really clever ride. Yeah,
definitely. It was a really, really good week of racing. We're going to move on to our jump season awards. Obviously, the end of the jump season was at Punchestown on finishing Saturday. Before we move on to our awards, I'll give you what was the main takeaways from Punchestown. There's a lot to get through, but we'll give you 2 or 3 main takeaways from the meeting.
You just need 2 words. Willie Mullins. His backyard, and it's where he plays. It was quite something. He even said afterwards, after he had 19 winners, I mean, it's extraordinary in 5 days, and 19 winners, 40 races, and I think he had runners on about 32 of them or something. He's won about 60% at least of his races and runners. It was a frightening show of how much strength and depth that this trainer has. And I know Ireland have had dominance, but he could even dominate within Ireland. His main challenger was Gordon Elliott. He's had that saga, so he's now well behind the 8 ball, and this just showcased novice chasers, established chasers, handicappers, bumpers, novice hurdlers, seasoned hurdlers. If they're coming back from a small layoff, like Energamine was, if we're coming back from 18 months off, like Classical Dream was.
That was brilliant, man. That was a great performance.
If it's homebred like Kilcrut is, he can source out right horses. His son's the heir to the throne, who's amateur jockey. I mean, there's a real powerhouse racing dynasty being created here, and it's only getting stronger. And his first 14 winners of the week were all for different owners.
Is that right?
All angles covered.
Yeah.
In every possible sense. It's quite frightening.
Brilliant. We're going to touch on our awards for this year's jump racing season. Now, we've split these into kind of categories. We've went for we're going to go jockeys first, then we'll go into trainers, horses, owners, and then we'll do a couple of kind of fun ones at the end. We'll start off with the first one we're going to do, which is a conditional jockey of the year. We've both, myself and Calum have agreed. We've got 4 nominees. We're going to pick the one out the 4 that we can agree on, and that's the person that's going to get the award. Conditional jockey of the year, we've got 4 nominees: Simon Torrens, Sean O'Keefe, Danny McMenamin, and Conor McNamara. Calum, who wins this award for you?
Probably Simon Torrens. I think he was really good at Punchestown, for instance. Showed his class, a lot of his GP McManus handicappers, and he was saddling quite a few winners that week. Won the conditions race as well up there. Big fan of Danny McMenamin as well on the Northland circuit. Sean O'Keefe has been very good as well, as is Conor McNamara. There's quite a lot of talented conditionals out there, and Jordan Gainford is obviously highly touted as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that might not even be in the shortlist. So, but yeah, I think Simon Torrens, he was champion condition jockey in Ireland as well. So he'd probably edge it for me.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. I'm putting Simon Torrens and Jordan Gainford just missed out in the top 4, but yeah, he's been the champ. He's the champion. Danny McMenamin as well has been really good in the UK, but I think Simon Torrens, particularly, just a few good rides that stick out. And I think he's going to be around for a long time to come. Next one is Amateur Jockey of the Year. The 4 nominations we have here are Patrick Mullins, Jamie Codd, Jodie Townend, and Angus Shaleda. I'm going for Jodie Townend. I think she's been terrific this season. Really, really impressed with her. I think she's going to be a star in the future.
Yeah, that'd be fair enough. Patrick Mullins, top amateur for the 13th time. I would probably went with him, just in numbers and how he could really cope quite easily in open company as well, on the likes of Sharjah. It's probably been a difficult season for the amateurs, hasn't it, with COVID kind of ruling them out for quite a large part of the season. Jodie Townend certainly is improving all the time. And she won the last at Punchestown as well. So I mean, she really is talented as well. Yeah, there's plenty of great amateurs as well, and they really are the lifeblood of the game. So
we're split here. How are we going to divide this if we come to it?
I'm happy to go
Jodie Townend. Brilliant. Great British Jockey of the Year. The 4 nominations we have here are Harry Skelton, Brian Hughes, Harry Cobden, and Sam Twiston Davis. what are we thinking here? I know Harry Skelton was a champion, but what is your opinion on the Jockey of the Year?
Yeah, it's over the season, isn't it? And Harry Skelton's been operating 20% plus throughout. I think he'd probably get it for me in Britain. I'd like to see Sam Twiston Davis get more opportunities. He was marvellous in Clandy Oval last week. Really judged it quite well. Brian Hughes will always be the king of North, and Harry Cobden's just kind of been kiboshed by injury towards the end, hasn't he? So probably over the course of the season, Harry Skelton really deserves his title and probably deserves this award as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. Harry Skelton all day long for me. Irish Jockey of the Year. Now, there's 4 nominees for this as well. Rachel Blackmore, Paul Townend, Sean Flanagan, Jack Kennedy. I don't think you can. I think it's impossible not to give this to Rachel Blackmore. Champion Hurdle winner, Grand National winner, Irish Champion Hurdle winner, won a Ryanair Chase, Champion Cheltenham Jockey. What else can you say, really? She's just been a brilliant jockey this year. Just a brilliant role model. Excellent for the sport. Rachel Blackmore for me.
Yeah, it has to be. Outside the racing bubble, I think she's definitely given the sport the boost and lift it needed. I personally, the glass ceiling was never there, but she has smashed through the perceived glass ceiling. She was talented. She's a great conditional 3 or 4 years ago, and I saw her when she won the Leinster National with Abolitionists. Her talent is absolutely no surprise whatsoever. The highest compliment you can pay her is that gender doesn't come into the equation for me.
Definitely not. Yeah, Rich. Yeah,
a worthy champion in rides. I mean, and Paul Townend, he did claim the championship by 8, but he also rode through a broken foot last week. Three bones broken in there, so that's fine. I'm a big fan of Jack Kennedy as well. He'll get future opportunities down the line, and Sean Flanagan's had an excellent season. With his standards, particularly with his association with Jeff Kidder. Yeah,
we'll touch on him later on. But yeah, Rachel Blackmore for me. Yeah, Rachel Blackmore wins this convincingly. Great British Trainer of the Year. We're going to move on to trainers. Great British Trainer of the Year. Paul Nicholls, Dan Skelton, Nicky Henderson and Fergal O'Brien. Paul Nicholls obviously a champion, but I think there's been a few instances where Dan Skelton has got some horses that shouldn't be winning the races they have. Nubi Negra, maybe one of them. But some of his training performances, to get All Mankind to win 2 Grade 1s this year, I think is testament to how good a trainer he is. Dan Skelton for me.
Yeah, I probably lean towards Paul Nicholls again in the numbers front and what he did with Clandy Obo.
Yeah.
And he won the King George with Frodon as well. Although he had a bit of a disappointing Cheltenham. Aintree's got a horse like Mon Moral, who's very talented juvenile. But Dan Skelton's claims, even get protected at back to form at Aintree, didn't he? So he certainly has claimed. Fergal O'Brien getting to 100 again is a fantastic achievement as well. And Nicky Henderson's have been a bit below par, but he's still got the best novice chaser in town, and Shishkin, he kept him right and sound, and he won all his races, and he's certainly done nothing wrong. And Altior even coming back to a little bit of form, so he's obviously difficulties to train. So he's done quite well actually to get some big prizes out of it. I'd lean towards Paul Nicholls though.
I think we're split. I would have went for Dan Skelton, but because Paul Nicholls was the champion jockey, I think I will agree with you. I think Paul Nicholls wins this award. Irish Trainer of the Year. Now, this is a tough one because it's hard to split these, to be honest. I know you said how good Willie Mullins is, but Willie Mullins, Henry de Bromhead, No Mead and Thomas Mullins. It's tough, isn't it? It's a tough one to split.
There's so many good ones.
Yeah.
I think it's still Willie Mullins for me. Over the whole year, Dublin Racing Festival was utterly dominant. He was still leading trainer at Cheltenham with 6 winners, and came back and said a bit disappointed with that. So
there's no many occasions where
tripled his tally at Punchestown, but Henry de Bromhead did kind of win all the big races, and he's got more firepower than ever. They did run flat towards the tail end of the season at Punchestown.
Were you surprised at that though, or did you kind of think they peaked maybe at Cheltenham time?
I think they probably peaked at Cheltenham. I think they probably just run a little bit £10 below their best. A lot of them weren't finishing their races quite well, but even that didn't deter Honeysuckle. So
no.
The stable stars are there, and the Punchestown really is where Willie Mullins excels as well. and I think expect Henry de Bromhead to get all those star horses back to decent shape next season.
Yeah, Willie Mullins as well. I think you just look at some of the horses, and it's been a terrific season for Willie Mullins. Just his dominance at Leopardstown in February in particular. Obviously Punchestown, as you say, champion jockey, champion trainer at Cheltenham. When some of his horses weren't up to form, just shows you the firepower he's got. Henry de Bromhead, obviously, we know he's won the 3 big races at Cheltenham. That's a claim in itself. But yeah, I think we'll just go Willie Mullins. I think Willie Mullins deserves this. Yeah. We'll go to the horses. We'll go to, first of all, bumper horse of the year. Kilcroot, Sir Gerhard, Nappers Hill and Elie Bell. I'm going for Kilcroot. I think it was further shown on was it Thursday? I think if Paul Townend had given Kilcroot a better ride at the festival, I think they'd have won the bumper. I'm not taking anything away for Sir Gerhard, but that was exactly the way to ride Kilcroot, the way Derek O'Connor rode him the other day.
Yeah, he's ahead of his stablemate now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Overall, striking similarities to appreciate it for me, where he just looks like a horse that will shape better over further. But if he keeps doing this over 2 miles, he's just going to stick with it, aren't you?
What do you think? Do you think I know we kind of thought earlier on Sir Gerhard might be the 2 milers, Kilcroot might go over further. Do you still think that? Like, what would you do with Sir Gerhard?
I do. I mean, I think Sir Gerhard I think he really was trained for the bumper in mind by his previous trainer. So I'm not surprised that he didn't quite run to form in hindsight at Punchestown. He does look like a 2 miler on all known evidence. Bit of a grinder, bit of a galloper. And I'd like to see him run as prominently as he was at Cheltenham. For all, Kilcroot got a different and better ride at Punchestown. I think Sir Gerhard got a worse one. Patrick Mullins posted him wide. He was a bit keen. He didn't really get to the front. Couldn't really stamp his class in the race, and his run kind of petered out, and he finished third. It's always hard to judge with these two. I think Kilcroot would be better over 2.5 in a Ballymore and Sir Gerhard over 2 miles in a Supreme at the moment.
It just shows you the firepower he's going to have next year as well. And there's a few novice hurdlers that we haven't seen yet for Willie Mullins. Dark Ravens one I really like. He's got a lot of really good horses.
Nicky Henderson will be back with quite a few.
Yeah.
John Bon and Iron Maximus are 2 that spring to mind. Doddy the Great's another one. Yeah, Henry de Bromhead might have a couple. Yeah, I mean,
Journey with Me is one I really like as well.
3 Stripe Life could come back. So I mean, it's not just Kilcroot 41 for the Ballymore and 5-1 for the Supreme. That'll do. You know, there are other horses up there, and we need to see them jump over hurdles as well for a start.
Yeah, definitely. So we're going Kilcroot.
Yeah, Kilcroot.
Yeah, Kilcroot. Juvenile of the year. This is an interesting one. Calexios, Triumph Hurdle winner. Monmiral, Jeff Kidder, and Zana here. Now, I'm a huge fan of Calexios, and I know he was a bit disappointed the weekend, but I'm putting that down to just maybe one too many races. You can't not give it to Jeff Kidder for the progression of this horse.
Oh yeah, I want to give it to Jeff Kerr.
You can't not. I think he's been brilliant.
Yeah, it's been the heartwarming story of he's came from absolutely nowhere to win a Boodles. Everyone thinks, no, that's just a massive fluke. Goes out, wins a Grade 2 at Fairyhouse, and then wins a Grade 1 at Punchestown.
Convincingly as well.
Both of them quite convincingly. Yes, showing a smart turn of foot in the process, and we'll probably see him in the flat over the summer. So he's all done is improved. He's improved for better ground, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. What did we think with Calexios the other day? Do you think it was just a case of a race too many?
Yeah, he's one of many of Henry's that just run flat, didn't he? He'd be very glad that Bob Ormston didn't run. It wasn't worth the risk. He was coughing. So yeah, they just didn't see out the races. He'll be fine. He'll come back next season. Yeah,
Monmiral's another horse I really like as well. I think I don't know if they're going to stay hurdling or go chasing, but whatever they do, this is an exciting horse for the future.
He is. He definitely is. He's certainly the best British juvenile, I think. Aintree was in a very good performance. Wisely skipped Cheltenham for it. Good to see Zana here come back to some.
Yeah, he did do well. He didn't run as keen as well. He didn't. It was a wee bit keen at the start, but he did kind of calm down towards the middle of the race.
And then came cruising in the race and then stayed on again. It was kind of it was a similar run to his Triumph. run, but a lot better seeing it out. And Denise Foster's yard since Cheltenham have really struggled, so it was probably worth upgrading his performance. He looks like he's crying out for 2.5 miles, so which would make him hard to place for Cheltenham purposes.
Yeah, definitely. We're going for Jeff Kidder here.
Yeah,
definitely. One of the stories of the year. Novice hurdler of the year. We're going to have an interesting debate here, I think. Appreciate It, Bob Ollinger, Echoes in Rain, and Galloping Deschamps. I love Bob Ollinger. I've followed the horse all year. I don't think there was a performance at Cheltenham that impressed me more than Bob Ollinger. All 4 of these could win this award.
Yeah, I think it's between 2, and Appreciate It and Bob Ollinger. And both missed Punchestown. I think Bob Ollinger has probably had a bit more to contend with, and coming back from injury. And
you see how well Gallard O'Neill won that race all day. It just franks the form, doesn't it?
Yeah, although it may have been a kind of weakish division. I Appreciate It's been the resounding dominant 2-mile hurdle horse all year. Won his maiden, won at Leopardstown, won the Dublin Racing Festival. It was also at Leopardstown, won the Christmas meeting, and he won the Supreme. I would probably give it to him because we've seen him more than Bob Ollinger. 2 miles is and he shapes if he goes further. I think quick ground will suit him, but I mean, I think for what he's done, and to defy what people think of him as well, and saying this guy's a stayer, he's not. He's somehow done that. Bob Ollinger might develop into even the better horse in the future, but I think this year, Appreciate It would just edge it.
Galloping Deschamps as well. We touched on him last week. Very, very good performance in the Martin Pipe, but what a performance our day in a really, really deep race. I know it turned into it's not the best division, but there was a lot of horses who could give him a fright. 25-1 for the Brown Advisory. Are we both on?
Yeah,
I'm delighted with that.
I mean, I tweeted out the day before. I just want to hold off as much as possible with these Cheltenham horses because you're months away, aren't you? And the value I thought was quite frankly rubbish. But I don't think the ballot form was overly great. Coming from the Martin Pipe to Grade 1 company around Punchestown for Willie Mullins is not uncommon. And if there was one horse that was going to demolish that race and that field, it was Galloping Deschamps, but he's been ominously backed all the time. And I did decide to take the 25s, the last remaining 25s.
Do you think because of how well Classical Dream won, it's kind of confirmed the fact that he's going to go chasing next year?
Maybe not. I think it's 80-20 that they will go chasing. Willie Mullins likes to send them over fences as soon as possible. And he said that in the winning podium all week at Punchestown, and he's still the same with Classical Dream.
Is he?
I don't think he really rates Steers Hurdle that much. I think everyone kind of they're there for the Gold Cup at the end of the day, really. And if it doesn't work out over fences, he can always bring them back to hurdles. That's kind of his view of it. But he's got so many horses to figure out a long-term plan for. So it's going to be a busy summer of planning for him. And Galloping Deschamps will be one in the forefront. I think he's now 8-1 favourite generally for the race.
Yeah, Echoes and Rain's another one that's interesting. She was very good the other day as well, beating one of your horses, Blue Lord. What do we think? Do you think she could be a champion hurdle horse, or could she go up and trip?
To me, she has a ton of foot that suggests champion hurdle horse. They might target her at the Mayor's Hurdle though. There's plenty of ammunition there. If Sharjah keeps up holding the form for the yard, there's no real sign of having her in the champions in the hurdle. But she didn't go to Cheltenham. Gave that a miss. She's kind of improved quietly. She was really keen at the start of the season. She's learned to settle better now and putting her talent forward. Unlike Blue Lord, who she beat, but I think Appreciate It and Bob Ollinger have beaten Blue Lord by further and with a lot more conviction as well. So it'll be between the pair, but I just leaning towards Appreciate It. I think he's just done a little bit more all season.
I'm sticking with Bob Ollinger. So how are we dividing this?
I can go with Bob with you if you want. Yeah, I'm a big fan of both, so if you want to give it to both, then so be it.
Yeah, I think Bob Bollinger will win this one. But as you say, I appreciate it was brilliant as well. Just I thought as well. I thought at the start of the year you had to stop me tipping him for the ballot, if you remember. I was going to tip him for the ballot, and you said he's not going there.
No, and I backed him for the Ballymore at the start of the season. Where we could 201 treble. Yeah, Manila Indo was part of that treble as well. I appreciate it done me for going for the wrong race. So yeah, give it to Bob Ollinger for that reason.
Yeah, Bob Ollinger. Right, novice chaser of the year. This is the toughest one. We'll go through the nominees first. Then we'll talk about Punchestown, and then we'll try and pick the winner. Shishkin, Energamine, Monkfish, Envoy Alen. I've left out Galvin and Colreevy here, and I'm kind of I don't know if you can obviously make a case for Colreevy after beating Monkfish and Envoy Alen, but let's discuss that race. Monkfish, Envoy Alen losing to Colreevy. What do we think? I know Envoy Alen finished lame. What are we thinking here?
Bit of a puzzle. On figures, Colreevy was £1 clear because of this £7 allowance. Yeah. And she was going back right-handed, and that mare's chase form's been upheld quite well, so it was there.
Were you surprised?
No, not in the day. It's a bit weird. You had this kind of feeling not in the day. I wasn't surprised that Monkfish slightly performed below par again. He does make novice mistakes. He did it the last time at Cheltenham. I just think a massive performance visually in the Dublin Racing Festival, the Floga, has probably took more out of him than people thought.
Yeah,
he won it by that far, and it was that convincing. And his splits at Cheltenham were still pretty good, and he was bang there for making a big mistake 3 out. And you might as well kind of give him an easy time after a long season and put him away for next year, because that's going to be his big year. So Envoy Allen's just something's clearly bothering him. The scans will be out there and see, but it might be an overreach kind of thing, because if you watch him at the second fence, he stepped miles away from it, absolutely miles away from it.
I didn't notice that, yeah.
As if there was like 3 fences there. That's a bit of a worry, because the fall might have had an impact on him. So I think just school him over the summer and see where you go. 2.5, 3 miles. If they genuinely think that he's a Gold Cup horse, I would be inclined to say that he'll probably go Manila Indo route, or
I think
maybe some soft starter at Wexford or something first.
I think so. Do you think the Down Royal? I think they mentioned Down Royal before, but I don't know if they mentioned that since. But
I would run him in a soft grade 3.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah,
make sure he's all right, and then see. But I think he's a lot more versatile, and particularly trip-wise. So at least that opens up a lot of doors for him. But you've always bought to be a Gold Cup horse, and I'd expect them to stick to that plan. But yeah, I certainly wouldn't write him off, obviously, because he is injured. So we'll just hope that he gets back and he can fulfil the potential that he certainly has.
Yeah, definitely. It's a horse. I was actually upset to see the way he kind of faded away, but obviously the vet said he was lame. Monkfish, I think Monkfish is going to be that kind of horse that he's going to blow you away, but he's always going to have that kind of performance in him as well.
Yeah, it just depends. A bit like Shaq and Persois.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's exactly a fair comparison. Yeah,
and then sometimes might flatter to deceive. He was really beaten there. His Punchestown record, he's not from 3, I think. I don't think he likes that track too much, and it undulates slightly, not as badly as Cheltenham's old course. Just think more a galloping track convention.
Yeah.
That cut in the ground would help him as well with his jumping.
Yeah, definitely. Right, novice chaser of the year. This is a really hard one here. We've spoke a lot about Monkfish and Envoy Alen, but Energamine and Shishkin, right, come into the 4. Energamine was brilliant the other day. What do we think about Energy? Do we think? I know he could be very versatile, but I think we could have a duel between two really good 2-milers going forward here.
Yeah, the duel that we didn't get in the Arkle, unfortunately. Hopefully get it in the Champion Chase with Shaq and Persuan, put the kettle on, throwing in. He's takes a couple of liberties at his fences, but he shows a blatant disregard. I'll jump as if it's a hurdle and just fly through it. I mean, he's kind of he's a frightening kind of unknown quantity, really, because you don't see anything challenge him yet. Billy Mullins has a lot, particularly these horses that can just go out from the front and absolutely take a race apart. So I'll do it in the Ryanair. Shaq and Persuas is capable of it. Cole Reevy can do it as well. Stormy Island over hurdles does it. It's quite something to behold. And he definitely answered the does he need soft ground question as well. The answer was no, but he did take a few liberties at the last couple that I'm not sure he'd get away with at Cheltenham. And I do think they'll just set up the race perfectly for Shishkin with his running style, because that's what Shishkin wants. Yeah,
Shishkin's obviously 4 from 4 this year. Has took to a fence beautifully. Shishkin's my pick. I think faultless this year. Just everything just went in his favour. And there's very few Nicky Henderson horses you can say that about this year.
He's mine as well. Over the whole season. And Nicky Henderson's probably he's the only horse he's probably had a clean run with all season.
Probably.
And I think he's just been campaigned in a very clever manner, like Altior was. Reminiscent of Altior a little bit. At Aintree, he held on. He was always holding on though, and he always just does enough. He was far too good in the Arkle for the rest of them. And that form, not a lot of the novice chasing form in behind the top brass has been upheld that greatly. So if people think it shouldn't be Shishkin because he's not beaten anything, that's kind of not true. I mean, latest exhibition didn't really defy top weight in Irish National. I thought his run was a bit disappointing. He travelled well into it, but then he petered out for 4th.
Yeah.
So I think I would be inclined to give it to Shishkin. Yeah,
Shishkin for me. So Shishkin wins that award. Hurdler of the year. We have 4 nominees here: Honeysuckle, Flooring Porter, Time Hill, and Sharjah. Don't think you need to ask who mine is.
This must be the easiest.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
In the history of award shows, in any sport or in anything ever, it has to be Honeysuckle, isn't it?
Can I be honest though? See, was it Friday? Was it Friday around?
Oh, there's so many races you don't know.
I was worried, and I don't know. I think it was because of the Henry de Bromhead factor, but I thought this might be a race too many, and something's going to happen here. It was a great field. I thought this is probably as good a field as you'll get in a kind of Punchestown champion hurdle, but she blitzed them again. She's just brilliant.
Yeah, it's that devastating turn of foot 2-3 furlongs out, where she just puts her race to bed, second last and last, and then decelerated into the last, gave Sharjah a chance, gave him a bit of standing still, and then took off again up the hill. And given the way Henry's ran below par, that probably was a slightly below par performance from her, but it was still way too good. She is top class, probably the best mare of the 21st century. You
going that far?
Yeah,
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Just in front of Annie Power now, and she's won a champion hurdle, and she is still unbeaten. She ticks every single box at the moment.
I want to read a text you sent me on Friday where you said something along. I've not got my. It's maybe far back, but you said something along the lines of the £7 has to go.
It does. At graded level, it has to be 3.
What is it in the flat?
I think it's 3.
3.
Yeah. I think it should be 3 in graded company. We have a mayor's program that's now established itself quite well at the top, but you need more mares in below. So I would certainly keep it beyond in non-graded company to get them started. But I think if you want to be a champion hurdler or a Gold Cup horse, I think you should be competing with as minimal allowances as possible. It should be the best of the best, maybe against levels. But I do understand the case if we need more mares kept in training. So I would make it 3, simply because I don't think anything at the moment can give her £7 and within a chance.
No.
We've looked at Georgia all the time, runs very honourably and creditably to his mark, but he's just not going to beat her at all. And if she didn't have that allowance, would she be able to get away with the odd minor mistake at the last? Would she be able to decelerate and give away 4 lengths at the last and then power up? It's just, that's the only question mark about her, is the £7. So that's the only thing that holds her back from being an absolute all-time legend. And in some eyes, she is. But if you get rid of that, then there's nobody could possibly argue against it.
No, definitely not. Sharjah, you've mentioned there, second in a champion hurdle again. He's always going to be that horse that you can rely on to finish in the places in that kind of race, apart from February and win. Yeah,
his chance, and he upholds that form. He's turned the form around with Epatante, which is a great achievement, giving her £7 as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What about Epatante? I know what do we think here? Do you think she's a classic example of she's peaked it a year ago? I don't know. What do we think? I know she was brilliant in the fighting fifth, but you've got to be concerned at how much she's regressed since then.
She had a back problem, Kempton, that arose. She ran pretty well at Cheltenham in third, and third again at Punchestown, which wasn't too bad, but she was kind of under pressure from start. I wouldn't entirely write her off, but again, how does she get close to Honeysuckle? You know, everything revolves around her. Whether they experiment over fences or not, certainly open to it. But yeah, it's all about her. She looks unbeatable in the whole yard. Quick 2 mile round Punchestown. It's a nippy track. It's orientating pace. It should suit Sharjah more than Honeysuckle. And the yard are well below form. Everything else is getting smashed aside, and that was the day that our unbeaten run looked the most.
Yeah, I wasn't confident at all. I wasn't confident,
and she answered quite emphatically again. So yeah, she is a superstar.
Yeah, definitely. Flooring Porter obviously won the Stairs hurdle. Kind of went out like a light the other day as well. What are we putting that down to?
Oh, that's completely forgivable.
Think so?
He suffered one of the most nonsensical starts we've seen in a long time, and there's quite a few punches down. That's probably the only drawback of it. Some of the starts were laughable. He pulled too hard, almost unshipped Johnny Moore at the start as well. And then he missed the standing start completely, had to be ridden aggressively to get to the front, and then went out like a light 3 out. It's not a bad effort. I would be inclined to throw it out. I don't think he likes going right-handed either. So I don't even think we'll see him at Punchestown again.
Yeah, another great story this year as well, how much this horse has progressed.
Yeah, definitely. And he's only 6, so he was probably entitled to throw in a bad run sooner than later. Down the long season to get that handicap mark up to a graded class as well. So yeah, I'd definitely be happy enough to throw that out.
Yeah, Time Hill as well is another one. Obviously the injury that made him miss Cheltenham, but he's, apart from getting outstayed at Paisley Park, he's been very, very good this year.
Yeah, just hope to get a clear run with him next season at the big race. He was good at Aintree, but I think some Irish form now looks a bit better than what he's got. But he's time, and he'll stay in hurdles, so yeah, he's certainly got time to fulfil his potential.
Yeah, definitely. But I feel even daft asking this, but Honeysuckle, no brainer.
Yep, no brainer.
No brainer. We'll move on to Chaser of the Year, where we have 4 nominees. Manel Lind put the kettle on, Ala Holt and Clandazobo. Now, I'm only going to do this once. I'm going to add a 5th nominee. I'm going to add Shah Camperswa, because apart from Cheltenham, where I think he might have just been outstayed, I think he's been absolutely faultless this year. I think another great performance in Tuesday against Allaho, who I think we know now isn't a 2 mile.
Yeah, and Willie Mullins pointed that out at the end of that race to them, but that Allaho could probably handle 2 miles in some other races that Shaq and Persois probably not going to be in.
Mm-hmm.
He has the ability, Shaq and Persois, to do what Allaho does, but over 2 miles. Well, Allaho can do over 2 mile 4. He's that kind of operator. He's got to be forceful. It turned into a race of speed in the champion chase, which didn't suit him, a sprint up the hill. It needs to be a sprint for 2 miles with Shaq and Persois.
Yeah.
Be hammer and tong round there, unrelenting gallop,
and
he'll probably prevail. Did the hill catch him out? Maybe he was one that was a bit below par. I think that debate will arise over 12 months' time for Cheltenham, for sure. Yeah, but I think he's certainly top class, and he just managed to prove it at the end of the season for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think you've got to give Allaho a mention as well. I thought it was one of the best performances of the festival. I thought he's terrific in the Ryanair. The only wee thing about Allaho is I think he's going to be this horse that's maybe he's not going to be a consistent horse that's going to win you 3 races a year. I think he's going to have a disappointment, then a good one, then a disappointment, then a tremendous one. Like, I think he could be that kind of horse.
Yeah, I think he's very much a spring horse in terms of Cheltenham. I think it does bring the best out of him, and I think he's more comfortable going left-handed as well. Slightly, not much in it, but slightly. I think he just jumps a little bit better to my eye. There's no real concrete reason behind it, but yeah, I think he's a 2.5 mile track bully, and he does like Cheltenham. So yeah, just keep the faith in him, right? When he does in a below par run before Cheltenham, just put more on him for the Ryanair, because that is his race. Yeah, definitely.
If the category was Chaser of the Year at Cheltenham, Put the Kettle On would be winning it hands down. I know she won the champion chase very well. Would you worry? Would you think she's done enough to get this award, considering that apart away from Cheltenham, she hasn't been great at all?
No, not for me. And the £7 allowance massively helped her at Cheltenham. They hold on from the front. Newby Negro's finishing fast. Skew Royal getting no sort of run whatsoever. And for Shaq and Persois, for all he misfired, they were still only beating a length. And Grenadine stayed on for 4th. They were all kind of thereabouts over the last. I don't think it's reliable form too much. But she does just excel around Cheltenham. She's an honourable mare, gutsy. Does even the slower chasing ground that was probably a bit too soft for her. She grinds it out. Disappointed at Sandown. Disappointed behind Shaq and Persois when in Ireland for Christmas, I think. And she just saves her best for Cheltenham. She knows when the time's right, and she's certainly more than paid her way.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Manila Indol obviously won the Gold Cup. Another example of doing really well at Cheltenham, but away from that, I know start of the season, terrific performances, but Christmas and February wasn't brilliant. But what do we think of Manila Indol? Obviously, do we think he deserves this award?
I think he does. I think the Gold Cup was truly run, no hiding place sort of test, and he, to me, he looked the winner for a long, long way. Nobody seemed to mention him. He was jumping beautifully, going into a rhythm, travel nicely. He absolutely loves the place. In behind Frodon, taking it up at the right time, and holding Applutard with a dual Gold Cup winner in behind. It was struggling, and beat him far more convincingly than Clandiobo did at Punchestown. With Applutard, was always staying on, always on his heels, and if he made a mistake, he might get beat again, like he did 12 months ago in the RSA. It was a fantastic performance, and I think alone the Gold Cup is the Gold Cup.
Yeah,
and I think he deserves it on the balance of that.
Yeah, Clandiobo's another one that's been outstanding at the weekend. Brilliant performance. How impressed were you with Clandiobo at Punchestown?
Yeah, he just jumped the best and won. I like the aggressive tactics on him with the cheek pieces. That seemed to have worked quite well. And he'll bid for a third King George at Kempton and try and get a title that Frodon got. Frodon's quite an admirable horse as well.
Yeah, I know.
A wee mention, but yeah, I like the way that he's been trained back. After beaten at Newbury by Secret Investor, his finishing effort did look to be a little bit dodgy, and his third in the King George this season was a little bit underwhelming as well. And you kind of thought, has he passed his best a little bit? But Cheek Pieces sparked him into life, sharpened him up, and he looks quite good again.
Yeah, definitely. Right, so you're going for Manelando?
Yeah, Manelando for me.
Right, I'll probably go with Manelando as well. It's between Manelando and Allaho for me, but we'll just go for Manelando. Final one in the horses before we have a couple of fun ones. Comeback of the year. Now, there's 4 horses here that a lot of us had maybe written off at the start of the year. We didn't think they would come back to what they've did. Stormy Island, Tiger Roll, Sporting John, Next Destination. What are we thinking here?
Yeah, some of them have to do a second comeback of the year, namely Tiger Roll and Sporting John.
Mm-hmm.
Tiger Roll was the one race at Cheltenham where we really missed a crowd because I thought he really deserved cross country. I know people could crab that it's a bit of a weak race and it's not their thing really, but I mean it was quite something to see that enthusiasm just come back to life, and he had that one really at the halfway point. Probably the easiest winner all week if you're on at a price.
Right. Yeah, of course we are.
Nobody really was after seeing his last couple of efforts. Stormy Island's just been an utter revelation.
Yeah, definitely. I thought it was done. I thought she was done.
But she's come back looking better than ever.
What did you think of that Mare's Hurdle over that she won? Because Concertista, I thought was okay, but again, you've said all along, she looks as if she's a 2-miler.
Yeah, she needs to jump a lot better as well.
Yeah.
Maybe just end of season, she's gone a little bit quiet, and her confidence is slightly gone. It certainly looked like that to me. She just never jumped cleanly at all. She can get 2 mile 4, and I think Mare's Hurdle is probably still going to be the plan because there's concern about her in Grade 1 company at the moment. She is now all of a sudden from looking like a world beater in her day to being a shade vulnerable. To trust the odds on anymore. Stormy Island, I think she has that excess stamina, and she's admirable. She's placed in Mare's Hurdles at Cheltenham before, and she's got back to that form. And whether it'll be enough next season, I think Mullen's team are planning to keep her over hurdles and keep her in training for another year, which is good. Just adds another string to their bow in the males division. Yeah,
definitely. Next Destination's one I want to get your thoughts on, because I think a couple of years ago I thought it was going to be a really, really exciting novice hurdler. Didn't see him for a long time, come back, run really well in a hurdle race, then has come back and looked a revelation over fences, just missing out in the National Hunt Chase. I thought he was unlucky, actually. I know Galvin was really good, but Next Destination's been a really, really good horse this year.
Yeah, he's well back that day as well. Went into favourite, I think.
Yeah.
I think Niscaria 10, and he was third. And that was a proper finish. It was a good race.
Yeah.
At Warwick, he won quite well from Fiddle on the Roof, who placed at Cheltenham. So he's done really well to get back to where he was. At the start of the season, I would have liked him to stay in the Stairs Hurdle because I thought he would have a chance in that. But they went the novice chase route, rightfully so. He's an out-and-out galloper. He jumps quite well. I wonder what they'll do with him next year. His handicap mark isn't too bad. It might be a Grand National horse.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. I can see that. But yeah, he's been really, really good. Sporting John, we're only kind of basing this in one run, aren't we?
The Miracle of Sandown and the Scilly Isles, where he came from last to first to win. And he's not really done anything before or after that, really, has he? So yeah, it's probably between Stormy Island and Tiger Roll for me.
I think we'll go Tiger Roll.
He's a bit of an old favourite, isn't he? So
yeah, Tiger Roll for me as well. So we'll go with that. We've got a few more. Owner of the Year. We've narrowed this down to 4. Susanna Ritchie, Cheveley Park Stud, Joe Donnelly, Alex Hales. That's a tough one.
Very tough because, it's the Mullen style. 14 different owners and 14 different winners. So they're all getting their fill. Barry Maloney won the Gold Cup.
Yeah, exactly.
Alexander in the Champion Hurdle. GP McManus is still winning a lot of handicaps, like the Grand National, for instance. It's a bit bigger than a handicap, but still, and you've got these four as well.
I can't split them. I genuinely can't split them. I would probably say Alex Hales. I know he was really, really good at Aintree, but it's between the other three for me.
Yeah, I think over the course of the season, I think Chiefly Park probably, and given the disruption that they've had to face with the moving horses to different yards and still having quite a successful Cheltenham as well, would be a big relief to them. And they have so many exciting horses going forward. Probably the only disappointment for them is how Envoy Allen's campaign finished. Yeah,
I know they won't watch this show, I don't think, but there's obviously we know the situation that they're potentially moving away from staying in a national hunt game. I really hope they don't, because I think they've been brilliant for the sport in the past couple of years.
Yeah, they have. They've just injected a fresh angle into it. Owners come and go. It's the passing of David Thompson earlier in the year that kind of planted that rumour. I think the most recent update I heard, I think they're staying. I think they're still going to commit to it.
I really hope they do. I really hope they do.
Excellent moves all round.
And they've got really good bumper horses as well. They've got a Classic Getaway. They've got Classic Getaway and another horse is at Gilly Billy. I think there's two horses that
in particular looks quite exciting.
Yeah, but Cheveley Park for it. We're going Cheveley Park here.
Yeah, I think so.
Right, Pundit of the Year. Now we can't nominate ourselves, or I would nominate you, but we're going with four: Kevin Blake, Gavin Lynch, Tony Keenan, and Megan Nichols. That's a tough one as well, because all four of them are absolutely brilliant. I can listen to all four of them all day, but I'm going to go Gavin Lynch.
Yeah, my punter's instinct is telling me Gavin Lynch, because he had a kind of heartbreaking Cheltenham as well, and just 20 seconds were picked out from a long way that he deserves credit. Tony Keenan's also very, very knowledgeable.
Brilliant.
Enjoyable in Sky. As is Kevin Blake. I think a lot of his plans to change the British jumps calendar to make it a lot more competitive are quite well thought out. I think there's certainly reason to that. And Megan Nichols is probably the newcomer on the scene.
She's absolutely brilliant
as well. So all four are great, but my punter senses is leaning towards Gavin Lynch. Up in the ante.
Yeah, Gavin Lynch. We're up in the atmosphere, we get our inspiration. But final one. This is a kind of one that I think is a no contest, because it's a real no-brainer, isn't it? Moment of the year: Rachel Blackmore winning the Grand National, Honeysuckle winning the Champion Hurdle, Munella Indo winning the Gold Cup, and Frodon winning the King George. Rachel Blackmore winning the Grand National for me. Yeah,
massive historical moment. The Grand National is for all the Gold Cups, probably the purest race in the racing bubble. The Grand National is the one that's watched worldwide, that's got automatic attention from everywhere and anywhere. And Rachel Blackmore winning it on Manila Times, well judged ride from the inside berth, always well placed. Looked the winner quite a long way out in terms of that the horse was probably far better handicap than Burrows Saint or any second now. So definitely her.
Yeah, definitely no brainer. But that was enjoyable, the awards, wasn't it? Anything else you want to add on to them? Or?
No, not at all. I think we've handed plenty out.
Brilliant. I really enjoyed that. We'll move on to some of the racing that's coming up over the next week. The Chester May Festival kicks off tomorrow, so that's a Tuesday. It'll be out to Wednesday. Any fancies over the next 3 days for Chester?
Just keep an eye out on the ground. It's been a lot of rain. I think we might get soft ground, so you'll be looking out for the classic kind of Derby Oaks clues, the Cheshire Oaks, Chester Vase, like that. I think Sir Lamorak of Aidan O'Brien's is coming over. Be a Derby contender. Probably a bit out with the washing in the market. Maybe not the first string, but the Wings of Eagles was second in this Chester race when he won the Derby at 40-1. So that was the same year Enable won the Cheshire Oaks. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you can get a good Derby angle from this race, even though if it doesn't appear to be that way. on paper.
Yeah, Japan's also entered as well. I see here we've got an entry in the Ormond Stakes and the Huxley Stakes. Do we know where he's going to go?
Yeah, I would like to see him up and trip personally, Norman, but because of this rain, he might end up in the Huxley Stakes. They're a little bit shorter. The only bet that I've had is Trumpet Man for the Chester Cup at 16. That's in the Friday at 2:45. Mark Johnson started the season really well. He targets this race. Franny Norton is a master around Chester, which is a tight, quirky track at the best of times. And the two of them teamed up with Making Miracles 2 years ago to win it. And that was a rather unexposed 4-year-old in the mud. Made it all, won by 6 lengths. Trumpet Man's a similar mould. He had the exact same prep run as well at Musselburgh in the Queen's Cup that Making Miracles had 2 years ago, and he's won over 2 miles as a 3-year-old off top weight at Haydock on heavy ground. So that'll be a big plus for him. I know Al Maguire's a strong favourite for the Gosden team in the late Sheikh Hamdan, but I mean they're quite. He looked a doubtful stare when he got beat, and I would rather take him on 92 with Trumpet Man at 16s.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be another interesting week of racing. But that'll do us for this week's episode, Callum. It's been an absolute pleasure to be on as always. It's really enjoy it as always.
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for listening, everyone. We'll be back soon with another show. Cheers.